Welcome back, Capstone Learners, to video 3.1, where we want to take a little bit of time at understanding your academic or your professional setting. So we'll look at the context of things, and we really are going to look at it from an academic perspective. If you are perhaps doing this working in more of a professional setting, I just encourage you to open your mind and kind of consider how this would have parallels to the academic setting. Seeing this as more of an education-based set of bullet points that you'll see below, I do want to encourage you, for those that are in a non-K-12 setting, to think about how this would work, and I will try to provide some examples as we go. So the first thing is just simply starting at that macro level. How would you describe the context in which you're working here? And so in other words, what information would be needed to gain insight on the location that you're doing your study? A lot of times that's a school location, and so we want to have a little bit about the school itself, maybe where it's located, maybe its population. A work setting or a faculty type of situation does the same thing as well. So if you're working with a faculty of 50 teachers, what do we need to know about those things there that help? And the context really revolves around how it works within the bounds of your study. What's the grade or subject configuration? Again, an academic type of an idea. Are you in a self-contained classroom? Is it departmentalized? Interdisciplinary teams, etc.? You could look at it in a couple other ways. What's the configuration of your faculty or grade level team? What's the office team design? Some of those ideas. How does a particular department work in conjunction with the larger faculty or the larger work environment? And how are they uniquely part of their own department or workforce there? What are the divisions or particular structures within which this context operates? And so now you're driving the larger context to a little bit smaller type of an idea. So thinking in terms of maybe a high school situation where a lot of the departments are broken down by discipline, is there something we need to know in that context that helps us a little bit further? Maybe it's a district-wide thing that you're doing and you want to talk a little bit about how the early childhood operates versus how the high school may operate. You can kind of open your mind to different ideas to see how do we want to look at this from a macro initially, but then down into the micro ideas if that is in fact something to consider. Another piece to consider is what state or district mandates or laws, guidelines might shape your teaching or coaching. So in other words, are there required curricula, standardized tests, assessments, pacing, texts, things like that that are required within your study that need to be brought up at the outset of explaining your procedures? What are those things that we need to know as a reader or an audience member to your paper that will help us gain a more in-depth insight as we move forward? These are all things that are kind of important as we kind of go forward so that there isn't any confusion moving forward in regards to what's important and what do we need to know. Other sections that you may put in as necessary. Are there any really unique features of your context that warrant a separate treatment because they're particularly relevant to your project? Is there anything we should know about the scheduling? Maybe you're a modified year-round school and that's something that we need to know. Potentially, maybe you work at a STEM academy, and so the curriculum is aligned really to more of a pre-engineering or a pre-medical track or things like that. Maybe within your work environment or maybe within your, for instance, for us here, if we had a study that worked on our adult and graduate studies program, it's probably important to note that the vast majority of our instructors are adjunct in nature. And so that would be something that I think if a study was done within our adult and graduate studies realm, we would need to know so that everybody knew that on the front end. So consider those unique pieces or those unique facets of your study, and don't be afraid to add those sections in so that we're aware moving forward. That'll explain a little bit about the context. We'll start to work our way into process and procedures of what you plan to do moving forward through study in the next video. God bless.